Welcome students. Now we'll learn about stereochemistry and asymmetric synthesis. Now stereochemistry you have covered in your lower classes. This is just a revision of your stereochemistry concepts in your lower classes. We'll start with the first stereochemistry. Stereochemistry is wherein you have enantiomers. These are the structures that are not identical but are mirror images of each other that you can see as in this particular image. This is a cyanohydrin molecule obtained from the reaction of an aldehyde. You can cyanide, you get a cyanohydrin. Now, these molecules are not identical because they are exactly mirror images of each other. Now, this bold wedges are bonds which are coming out of the plane of the slide in this case. So this is pointed towards you, and this is cross-hatched bonds which are there are in the plane of this or going inside the plane of this side and are away from. Now these are structures. These structures are called chiral structures if they cannot be superimposed on the each other. If this means now if you superimpose this structure onto this, they will not be exactly same. As you can see, the OH will be aligned with the cyanide, and this cyanide will be aligned with the OH of this group. H will be aligned with this particular carbon, and this particular carbon will be aligned. So basically, they are not superimposable. Now, what are superimposable structures? Uh, Achiral structures are superimposable structures wherein you can see these are uh, although mirror images, but they can be superimposed or some part of this can be superimposed onto this. Wherein if you are placing this molecule over this, the methyl will correspond to methyl and this methyl will correspond. So these are the superimposable structures. In the above structure, which are achiral, this is where the mirror images are not superimposable over each other. Now, this chiral molecules or enantiomers have a plane of symmetry or do not have a plane of symmetry. Chiral molecules do not have plane of symmetry. As you can see, acetone cyanohydrin, this has a plane of symmetry wherein you have methyl groups on the either side of this plane. Uh, the dotted line is a plane. So either side of this plane, there is some symmetry wherein both the sides are equal. That means this is methyl group on the left side of the plane, on this is methyl group on the right side of the methyl plane. So any planar molecule, the plane of the paper is the plane of the cement. So any planar molecule you can see here is the plane of the paper is the plane of the symmetry in the case. A cyclohexanone molecule is also having a plane of symmetry wherein the plane of the symmetry is passing through the methyl bond and the carbonyl bond. See methyl bond and the carbonyl bond. So you can see on either side of the plane there is symmetry. Now, chiral molecule, this plane of symmetry may exist wherein there is also chirality. As you can see, this can be not as such chiral. The bonds are not not a planar structure. It is so a bicyclic acetal. The planes of symmetry is orthogonal to the paper. Again, orthogonal to the paper in the sense orthogonal to the slide here, wherein again it is either side of the plane. It is symmetrical. So basically, uh, chiral molecules will not have this plane of symmetry, and chiral molecules have plane of symmetry. So one of the conditions of chirality is that uh, first we have seen that they are non-superimposable mirror images. The second condition is they don't have a plane of symmetry. So any structures that do not have a plane of symmetry is chiral and exist as two mirror images. From this, you can see uh, even if the plane of paper, the plane of symmetry is in the plane of the paper, or in this case, the slide, there is no symmetry around this aldehyde cyanohydrin. In the earlier case, when we saw the cyanohydrin of the acetone, we had a plane of symmetry. Or if the plane of symmetry is passing through or is orthogonal to the plane of this particular slide, as in this case, if in such situation also, this is not the case, wherein there is either side of the plane there are equivalent groups or the same groups in this case. So this is not having a plane of symmetry. Plane through OH and Ca, not a plane of symmetry. Plane of paper, not a plane of symmetry. So the molecule is chiral with two enantiomers. Basically, the chiral molecules do not have plane of symmetry. Now, these stereoisomers or enantiomers are not to be confused with the constitutional isomers. Constitutional isomers are the one in which the atoms are connected differently. So they have different connectivity. As you can see from this particular example, the OH is on the alpha carbon here, whereas the OH is on the beta carbon here. Whereas the stereoisomers have same connectivity, as you can see from these example, but they are arranged differently. So this carbon is having a alkyl group, a hydrogen group, a cyano group, and a hydroxy group. So this particular connectivity is not changing. However, the arrangement of these groups which are there on this particular carbon is changing in the enantiomers. The same applies for E and Z isomers, wherein you have two different arrangement of the groups uh, which are on the carbon containing the double bond. So they can either be trans or cis. So these are also isomers in this case, or stereoisomers in this case. Now, since this stereoisomers are a different connectivity, so if you want to change the configuration, what is the configuration? Configuration means that a bond has to be always broken from changing one configuration to another. So if you were to change from this particular configuration to this particular configuration, you will have to break the cyano bond and the hydroxy bond and arrange them in such a manner that the hydroxy bond will be towards you and the cyano bond will be away from you. Whereas the conformation means simply rotating the bonds, not breaking them. As you can see from this example, you are rotating the bonds and the groups are shifting their position. So they are interconvertible. So configuration is one wherein uh, you get a different molecule by breaking the bond and again joining them, as whereas in conformation it is the same molecule and you get different conformation by just rotating the one of the rotatable bonds in the structure. This brings us to the concept of stereogenic center. We talked about the carbon which is having OH, cyano, and alkyl and hydroxy. So a carbon containing four different groups is a stereogenic or a chiral center. Now, owing to this particular feature that it is having four different types of group, it can form a stereoisomer and it is chiral because it will again, owing to this, will not have a plane of symmetry and thus will form non-superimposable mirror images. Whereas in case of achiral molecules such as acetone, cyanohydrin, you can see there are only three different types of methyl. This methyl are of same type. That means this is the same alkyl group, and you have one hydroxy and another is a cyano group. So in a chiral molecule, you have three different types. You can have two different. Basically, it is not that it does not have four different type of substituents on that particular carbon in this equation. So a carbon which is carrying four different groups is a stereogenic chiral center. As you can see from this particular structure, the aldehyde cyanohydrin which is there, you have one alkyl group here, one hydroxy group here, one cyano group here, one hydrogen group here. So what is a racemic mixture? A racemic mixture is a mixture of two enantiomers. So a mixture containing both the configurations of the molecule is a racemic mixture, and this proportion of this is equal. So you will have 50% of this and 50% of this. Now, in the previous slide, we had seen the numbering of the substituent groups. That is, OH was given number 1, the cyano group was given number 2, the alkyl group was given number 3, and hydrogen was given the last number. Now, how you decide this sequence is by applying this Kahn-Ingold-Prelog sequence rule, also known as CIP rules. This method employs a sequence of rules to rank the four groups attached to the chirality centers and then look at the handedness with which those groups are attached. So we'll start with the first group. Now, whenever you have four different groups, you have to look at the atomic number of those particular atom which is attached to the chiral center. And the higher order, higher atomic number will get the higher ranking, and in the lower atomic number will get the lower ranking. So always the hydrogen will be the least ranked group on the chiral molecule. You will have bromine followed by chlorine, then sulfur, then phosphorus, then oxygen. So in case of the acetyl cyanohydrin, since hydroxy is having oxygen, hydroxy contains the oxygen attached to the chiral center. So this oxygen is having the highest priority because it is having among these four groups or atoms which are attached to the chiral center. Oxygen is having the higher atomic number, so this is 1. Now you may see that this is carbon and this is also carbon. So how you decide this is 2 and this is 3? That brings us to the second rule. So if a decision can't be reached by ranking the first atoms in the substituent, look at the second, third, and fourth atoms in the chirality center. So if you are having a carbon which is attached to hydrogen, okay, let us assume these are two different groups. Now you have to look at the atom attached to the next carbon atom. So this is having one more carbon atom, so this will be at higher position. Similar is the case with this. This hydroxy is attached to H, and whereas this hydroxy attached to the this oxygen is attached to H, and this oxygen is attached to the carbon methyl group of the carbon of the methyl group. So this will be a higher order. Again, you have to look at if secondary is not giving you the right, you have to look at the third and fourth carbon. Again, this is at higher order because this particular carbon is attached to two different carbons or two carbons, whereas this particular carbon is attached to only one carbon and one hydrogen. Again, in this case, you can see this can be wherein the carbon may be attached to different atoms, not only the carbons, it can be any other atom. So since chlorine is having a higher atomic number, this particular group will have a higher, when I'm talking about this particular group, the methyl group, or the this here it is attached to the chiral carbon here. So this is one of the groups. So this and this, if they are attached to the same carbon, uh, so they, this is CH3 and this is C2H5, as you can see from the first example here. Okay, I say this is chlorine and this is some hydroxy. So you are clear with the ranking of this particular. So you have chlorine as the first rank and the hydroxy as the second rank because it is attached to, this is oxygen containing thing. So you need to decide upon the same atoms attached to the two different substituents, or two different substituents attached to the same carbon. So as you can see, both these are carbon. You cannot rank them as such using the first rule, because using the first rule you will get the same ranking for this, because carbon and carbon will have the same atomic number. So as in this case, you will have to look at the groups attached to the subsequent atoms in the. So what is the subsequent atom? As in this case, you can see all are hydrogens, and in this case it is two hydrogens and one carbon. So this will have the higher group. So similarly, you will have hydroxy, and say if you have, instead of this methyl group here, this methyl group here. So instead of this ethyl group, you had a methoxy. So again, this carbon is attached to oxygen. So you cannot really rank them. So you have to look at the neighboring atom which is there, the second atom which is attached to the oxygen. In this case, it is attached to hydrogen. So, and in this case, it is attached to a carbon. Again, uh, you have to rank the second atom which is there in the same substituents, or same atom substituents in this case. So this carbon will have, because it is a higher atomic number, higher or higher rank, and this hydrogen will have a lower rank. So the ranking between these two will be, this will be at higher rank, this will be at a lower rank. The last case is wherein you have the carbon attached to the nitrogen and the carbon attached to the chlorine here. Now you can see, since chlorine is at higher atomic number than nitrogen, this will have a higher ranking in this case. Now the third rule is, so multiple bond atoms are equivalent to the same number of single bonded atoms. So if you are having a double bond in the structures, the substituents will be counted as two in this case, as you can see from here, a green carbon. So the pink carbon is bonded to doubly bonded to a green carbon. So this is counted as it is bonded to two single bonded carbon atoms, which is green color in nature. Similarly, the green color carbon is attached to a pink color carbon with a double bond in this case. So it is counted as single bond, but with two uh, substituents, because it is a double bond. In case you had triple bond, it will be counted as three atoms or three singly bonded. So So multiple bonded atoms are equivalent to the same number of single bonded atoms in this case. So in this case, this pink color carbon is attached to a green color carbon via the triple bond. So it is equivalent to having uh, three green carbon atoms in this case, as you can see here. Similarly, for the green carbon atom, it is attached to the pink carbon atom via triple bond. So similarly, the green carbon is also having three different or three pink color carbon bonds. Now, these were the rules for ranking there. And now the final CIP rule is for the handedness, how it is there. So if you arrange these particular groups in 1 to 3, you have such arrangement wherein you have one the higher rank substituent at this position and the second followed by the second rank order and the third rank order in this position. So if you take mirror image, you will end up with such kind of structure. Now this can be equated to a steering wheel, wherein the least rank substituent, which is the least rank substituent which is there, is the axis of the steering wheel. Okay, therefore this is not shown in the steering wheel. This is the axis which is attached to the car, the console of the car, and the spokes of the wheel which are there, these are the spokes of the steering wheel, are the other uh, substituents which are higher than the least rank structure group, higher than the least rank group here. So the fourth will be behind this plane of this slide. So it is not visible here. It is actually the axis of uh, the steering wheel. So the fourth is away from you. And when you have such arrangement, and if you rotate the wheel in clockwise direction, so while going from the first rank substituent to second rank substituent to the third rank substituent, uh, and if you are rotating it to the right or in the clockwise direction, it is called as R configuration. And the mirror image, in the mirror image, you can see that you are rotating the wheel towards your left and in an anti-clockwise direction. Then such type of configuration is known as S configuration. So the condition here is that you should have the least priority group away from you. The least priority group is away from you. That is the lowest rank substituent is away from you. What happens if it is towards you? If this is towards you, we'll see that later. Let us look at the chemical example. Now you have a lactic acid in this case. Now for lactic acid, it is a acid which has four different types of substituent. One is hydroxy, one is hydrogen, one is methyl, and one is carboxy. So using the rules, you can see is because among uh, the four groups which are there, or the four atoms precisely which are attached to the chiral carbon, one is oxygen, one is hydrogen, two are carbon. So oxygen will definitely get the highest rank because it is having the higher atomic number. Among these two carbons, now this carbon is attached to hydrogen, whereas this carbon is attached to one doubly bonded oxygen and one singly bonded oxygen. So this is equivalent to that carbon is attached to three oxygen atoms. So obviously this will have a higher order than this particular methyl group because this particular carbon is attached to oxygen which is of a higher atomic number than this particular substance wherein the carbon attached to an hydrogen. And obviously the hydrogen will have the least ranking in this case. Now this is arranged such that again it is arranged in form of a wheel wherein the CH bond is the axis of the steering wheel and this particular all other groups which are there are the spokes of the wheel. And you can see from this when you are moving from the higher rank to the subsequent rank, that is the first rank to the second rank to the third rank, you are moving in the clockwise direction or rotating the wheel, if you were to use that analogy, towards right. So this is an R configuration, and the mirror image of this it is going from the first to second, second to third. It is going in an anti-clockwise direction. And if you were to use the wheel analogy, steering wheel analogy, you are rotating it to the left, and it is called S configuration. Now, this configuration rules holds true when the least priority group is away from you. Okay, all these bonds are towards you, and this is away from you. What is the case if the least priority group is not away, it is towards you? The exact reverse happens. That means if you are if the lowest priority group is towards you and you are going in a clockwise direction, it will have the S configuration. And similarly, if the lowest priority group is towards you and you are going in a clockwise direction, it will have anti-clockwise direction, it will have an S configuration. So the CIP rules holds true when, or CIP rule for handedness holds true when the least priority group is away from you. Uh, if you rotate it clockwise, it is R. If you rotate it anti-clockwise, it is S. But if it is the least priority group is towards you, then the exact reverse is happening. That is, if you rotate it in clockwise, it will be an S configuration, and if you rotate it anti-clockwise, it will be R configuration when the least priority group is towards you. We have seen or talked about much about the enantiomer. Let us talk about the diastereomers. Diastereomers are the stereoisomers which are not mirror images. You have seen that enantiomers are the mirror images and non-superimposable over each other. However, diastereomers are not mirror images, and obviously they cannot be superimposed over each other. So as you can see, this epoxide, this particular epoxide is a trans epoxide, and this particular epoxides are the S epoxides. Okay, so this enantiomers are exact opposite to each other. So this carbon here configuration is S, so it is R, and if this is R, this is S. Okay, and these are mirror images. However, these diastereomers are not mirror images. As you can see, if you place a mirror, this is not a mirror image, and this vary at only one particular atom. The configuration is reversed at only one particular atom. So in this case, if it is SR, it is SS. If in this case, if it is RS, it is RR. In enantiomer, the absolute stereochemistry is opposite. That means if one carbon, so diastereomer is a compound where you have two chiral centers. Okay, as you can see from this epoxide molecule, and in enantiomers, when I say enantiomers, the absolute stereochemistry at one of the carbons or both the carbons in this case is reversed. As you can see, for this particular carbon, it is changing from S to R, and for this particular carbon, it is changing from R to S. Whereas in diastereomers, these both are diastereomers. So this particular molecule is a diastereomer of this, and this particular molecule is a diastereomer of this. So there is changing only absolute configuration of only one carbon, as you can see from here, R and S, and here S and R. Also, one more thing, in this case, enantiomers are mirror images of each other, and these are not mirror images. So, now, a compound may contain stereogenic centers, but themselves may be achiral, and such compounds are called as mesocompound. Uh, recall that achiral compounds have a plane of symmetry. So even if it contains stereogenic centers, as you can see from this particular structure, so these are enantiomers, wherein have these are the products of the syn addition of an alkene here. So this is a syn product and this is an anti-product. Now these are enantiomer because these are exact mirror images of each other, and in this case when it is an anti-addition of hydroxy groups on this particular alkene, can see here it is this particular absolute configuration or stereochemistry is R and this is S. Okay. However, when you take mirror image of this, you end up with this molecule. Now, this particular molecule, look at the configuration of this particular molecule, in this case R and S. If you rotate the end of the molecule by 180 degrees, what happens is that you end up with such type of molecule, such type of configuration in this case. Okay. So if you draw a mirror plane of symmetry to this bond, you can see it is having a plane of symmetry. So that means it is, or either side of the plane you are having the same groups. If you want to rotate this particular molecule to by 180 degree, you will not end up with such configuration. You will end up with, or even for this also you will end up with this. So these are not enantiomers, these are meso compounds, whereas these are enantiomers. So carbon containing two chiral atoms will have 4 enantiomers in the normal situation, but wherein there is a possibility of a meso compound, it will end up with 3 enantiomers in this case. You will have so meso compounds are basically symmetrical molecules. This means there is a plane of symmetry with R stereochemistry on one side and S stereochemistry on the other side. These are basically the same molecules. These are not two different molecules, because when you rotate it from this to this, you end up with the same molecule. Recall the distinction between configuration and conformation. So these are two different conformations of the same molecule. So this is particular pair of molecules are not enantiomers, these are meso compounds. So if you rotate the plane of this bond, or rather rotate this bond, right hand end of the molecule, you will end up with the same sides or the same substituents of on either side of the an imaginary plane of symmetry here. Now we have looked at chiral centers, wherein there is a requirement that it should have 4 different groups attached to it. It should be non-superimposable mirror images. It should not have a plane of symmetry. So these are the molecules where there is a stereogenic center. Stereogenic center is a one which is that means it will lead to stereochemistry, to two stereoisomers owing to the attachment of 4 different substituents on that particular carbon or any atoms uh, for that matter. So you can have chirality wherein there is no stereogenic centers, as you can see in case of virals. So as such, there is no stereogenic center because this carbon is attached to the carbon, 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 and so this is attached to, again this carbon is attached to 4 different carbons here. there is no different types of substituents attached to any of the carbons here. Okay, so you can have either biphenyl or 1,1-binaphthyl. So there is no stereogenic center here. However, the rotation about this single bond which is there is restricted due to presence of the hydrogens here. So you will not have the exact planar structure. This is not a planar structure. Uh, this will have certain, these two aromatic rings which are there are arranged at a certain angle. So in this case, it may be a 90 and 90 degree or near to 90 degree. This is because there is a steric strain of this nearby hydrogens in this case. And if these hydrogens are replaced with other larger groups, the strain would be higher in this case. Because hydrogen is a smaller group, the strain is less in this case, but it would be higher in case the hydrogens are replaced by a higher order substituents in this case. So you can see the pink, it should be pink here, pink hydrogens and the green hydrogens. Because of this steric strain in this hydrogens, there is this is not a planar structure, and as a result there is a chirality because there is different arrangement of the phenyl groups with respect to each other. When you have different groups other than hydrogen in this case. So chirality exists when A is not equal to B and X is not equal to Y. So when such a condition is there, you end up with two non-superimposable mirror images of each other that are enantiomers. Now, the bond connecting to the two rings is called as the chirality axis, and this is called also axis of symmetry, which we'll see later. But so one more condition in chirality is that it should have a axis of symmetry. It should not have plane of symmetry. It should be non-superimposable mirror images of each other. So the three conditions. So the third condition, which is now in case of stereogenic centers, that it should have an axis of symmetry. How you apply RNS descriptors in this case of virals? This is possible only if that in the previous slide, in this slide, we have seen that this particular substance which is attached ortho to the this particular bond which is connecting the two phenyl groups, if these are not equivalent, that is A is not equal to B and X is not equal to Y. However, A can be equal to X and B can be equal to Y in this case, but this should not be the same. You can apply R and S rules as in case of the chiral carbons. In this case also it can be applied. For this, the molecule is viewed in the conformation with the two aryl rings perpendicular along the axis of AR bond. And the four, how you rank this four substances that are ortho to the carbon which is bonded to the different other phenyl ring is setting the priorities according to the proximity from how it is viewed. It is immaterial whether the front ring is placed horizontally or vertically. The projected atoms may not be different, so the sequence rule is augmented with a proximity rule, which is that is near group precedes the far group. So uh, from the how you are viewing the particular molecule, so the groups near you will have the higher order and the groups away from you will have the lower order. That is the proximity rule, that the near groups precede the far groups, and in the near groups also you apply the CIP rule, wherein the higher atom number will have the higher order. Let us look at an example here. It is loading. We are looking at the example of the chirality in the BIRLs and applying the RS rule here. Please wait for the application to load. Now, as you can see, this is a biphenyl group, and wherein A is not equal to B and X is not equal to Y. However, it can be the possible that A is equal to X and B is equal to Y. So you have to view from the bottom. So how you have to view? We have said that you have to view from, you have to place two rings perpendicular to each other. You have to place two rings perpendicular to each other. These two rings are perpendicular. This is in this plane and this is in this plane, which is at perpendicular to each other. And you have to view through the bonds through this particular axis here. So if you are viewing to this particular bond here, okay, now this is how it is represented in this 2D diagram. Okay, the solid line which is there is always towards you. Solid line, this solid line is towards you, or in this case, this solid line is towards you. This is away from you. So you are viewing in a direction that this is the solid line which is towards you, and you have nitro here and carboxyl here, and this is nitro here, this is nitro here, and this is carboxyl here. How you rank them? Now it is proximity rule. Now if you see or rotate it slightly, you will observe that this nitro groups and carboxyl groups are towards you. That is more nearer to you. And this nitro group and this carboxyl group is away from you as opposed to. Now this will be ranked higher because of the higher atomic number. So you will get 1 and 2. So A and B, it is written here. And among this will have the third, and this is fourth. So C and D. When you are moving from A to B, so how you are moving from the higher order to the lower order, we are moving in this particular direction, which is anti-clockwise. You are moving from A to B and B to C in an anti-clockwise direction. And obviously the least priority group, which is there, the carboxyl group, in this case is away from you. Obviously it is away from you. So this is an S configuration. So this is the molecule. It is 6,6 prime dinitro biphenyl 2,2 prime dicarboxylic acid, which is an S configuration. So how you so it is not obviously always imagine the molecule in a 3D environment. So there is a simple logic here. You can see in biphenyl structures, if you are having such type of arrangement. Now this solid wedge things are to show that this particular part of the aromatic ring is towards you, and this particular molecule part of the molecule of the aromatic ring is towards you. It is arranged in such a manner. Okay. So this part of the structure is towards you, and this part of the structure is towards you. And as you can see, if you join this particular things, so it is looking like an S. Okay. Now this is a very crude logic, not based on any chemical or physical aspects of the chemistry, just to remember how to remember how to deduce the chirality. Obviously, it is based on the chirality of within the molecule through the biphenyl connecting atoms axis, and then applying the proximity rules, and then looking at the handedness of the substrate attached to this particular thing, and then deducing the either it is S configuration or R configuration. But just for a crude logic here, whenever you see such type of arrangement wherein the solid wedge bonds are in the S shape here, solid wedge bonds are in S shape here, it is an S isomer. Okay, and if you were to draw this, in a 2D dimension, you have to always draw the lower group such a way it is at this lower carbon, lower aromatic ring. The solid wedge is represent solid wedge part of this aromatic ring is represented as a solid line in this case, and this is represented as a thin line in this case. So the solid wedge, the groups attached to the solid wedge are obviously nearer to you because you are viewing from this particular angle, viewing from the bottom of this particular thing. And these are arranged in a such a manner that this is nitro. The thin line, you have nitro here and you have carboxyl here. So we'll return back to our presentation here. So this is how you apply RNS configuration, that you have to look to the AR-AR bond, that is biphenyl bond, and arrange the groups which are attached to it in the proximity order, that is the groups nearer to you are having the higher order, and in that also the CIP rule exists, that is the higher atomic number will having the higher priority, and the groups away from you will have the lower numbers, and in that also the CIP rules applies, wherein the higher atomic number will have the higher priority. One more example is chirality in BINAP. This is a chiral catalyst. This catalyst we look at when we are looking at the asymmetric synthesis. But again, you have to view through this bond. You have to view through this bond, and so now how this is represented in 2D is that this particular solid wedge is this solid line. So the diphenyl phosphine group which is attached to this is this particular group, and the other part of the structure is represented horizontally as in this case, and the arrangement is such that this is the phenyl ring and this is the phosphine ring here. So this is also the phenyl ring, but this is the closest to you. So now if you were to apply the RNS configuration here, the rules here, now since this is the more proximal group here, so this will be 1 and this is 2. We'll have this as 1 and this as 2, and among this, after this, these are away from you, therefore it is denoted in a thin line. This is denoted in a solid line or a thick line because this particular part of the molecule is towards you in this case. So among these two groups, that is the phosphine group and the phenyl group in this case, or this particular carbon of the phenyl group, we are looking at the ortho substituent. This particular carbon of the phenyl group is this. So you are having the first rank to the phosphyl, obviously because of the higher atomic number, and this is 3, and this is 4. We are now going from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 in a clockwise direction, and the least priority group is away from you. So therefore, this is an R binary. So again, the non-chemistry logic is applying here. Non-chemistry logic is applying here, wherein you have this particular solid wedge type of part of the structure which is towards you. If you are getting an S like of, as you can see, this is an S. So this is an S binary, and the exact opposite of that, the mirror image of that would be the R isomer. This is a non-chemistry logic, just to for your remember how to remember that particular thing is for your guidance. Let us look at the again the 3D interactive thing in this case. Let us wait for it to load. Okay, now it is loading. Now, as you can see in this particular 3D animation, this is the S binary. Okay, when I click, this is the S binary. So the solid wedge which is there is towards you. Okay, and this solid wedge part of the molecule is towards you. For R binary, it is the reverse. This solid wedge is towards you, and this solid wedge is towards you. Okay. When I'm viewing this particular molecule, I have to view along this axis. Okay. This is very close to the one which I have drawn, which is drawn in 2D. So again, this particular diphenyl phosphate group is towards you, and this phenyl ring is towards you. So this would be 1. This would be 1 in this case. This would be 2. And this particular phosphenyl group, phosphine group, is away from you, and this is again this particular phenyl group is away from you, as you can see in this arrangement. So this is 3, this is 3, and this is 4. So from now 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 are going in a clockwise direction, and the least priority group is away from you. As you see from this arrangement, this is away from you. The least priority group is away from you, and it is going in clockwise direction. Therefore, this is an R isomer of the binary. We'll return back to the slide. So we have seen how the chirality exists in bilateral compounds, although it is not a stereogenic, and how to represent this in 2D diagram. The solid wedge is denoted as the solid line, and the groups away from you are denoted in the thin line. So the groups attached to the solid line is towards you, and the groups attached on the thin line are away from you. And you number them accordingly. So groups towards you are having the higher order ranking, and groups away from you are having the lower order. We talked about the axis of symmetry when we were talking of the chirality in biphenyls. So the molecules, if a molecule has an axis of symmetry, it is chiral. Now, let us look at example of this particular epoxide. This is a syn diastereomer wherein you have the epoxy group, wherein the phenyl groups are on the same side of the epoxide ring or epoxide oxygen. So this has a plane of symmetry, because on either side of the plane you are having symmetrical or same structures, same groups. So phenyl and hydrogen. So this is having a plane of symmetry. Whereas in an anti-diastereomer, wherein the phenyl groups are across the epoxide group, that is, one is towards the epoxide ring and the opposite of the epoxide ring. Now, this particular molecule has an axis of symmetry. That is, if you rotate it 180 degree, you will end up with the same molecule, and the mirror image will be non-superimposable. In this case, the mirror image will be superimposable on it, this thing. So this is not a chiral molecule. The mirror image of this is a non-superimposable molecule, because you can see from this phenyl ring is away and this is towards each other. So what is this axis of symmetry? Again, we look at it in a 3D thing. I will be switching to the browser window. Now, this particular molecule is having a plane of symmetry. This is the plane of symmetry. You can see. So when I take mirror image of this particular molecule, it will still have the same it will be superimposable on each other. If I take a mirror image from here, I will end up with the same molecule. Or mirror image of this, I will end up with the same molecule. Whereas in anti, this thing, you can see this is being rotated. This is the C2 axis of symmetry. If I rotate this particular by 180 degree, this phenyl group is towards you. This particular phenyl group is towards you. The other phenyl group is away from you. When I rotate this by 180 degree, what happens that the phenyl group which was away is now coming towards you, and the one which was towards you is going away. That means it is changing the positions. In 2D, you can see this phenyl group is down, this phenyl group is down, this phenyl group is down here, and this phenyl group is up. So even if I rotate this, I'll end up with the same molecule. So it is having an axis of symmetry. And when I take the mirror image of this will be the mirror image. So what will happen? This is the mirror image. This is a non-superimposable mirror image. You cannot superimpose these two structures. It is very evident from this 3D array animation here. So this is the axis of symmetry which we are talking about. I return back to the presentation. Now this is such type of symmetry is called as C2 symmetry because it is two-fold axial symmetry. So on either side of the axis you have the symmetry, therefore this is called as C2 symmetry. Other axes of symmetry exist in chemistry but that are not of your interest as of now. So right now what we are concerned is of C2 symmetry. So what are the conditions for the chirality? It should be non-superimposable mirror images. It should not have a plane of symmetry, but it should have the axis of symmetry. Now, there are various ways you can represent a chiral molecule, one of which is a Fischer projection. Fischer projection is wherein the tetrahedral carbon is pressed flat against a plane such that the groups, the horizontal lines which are there are towards you and the vertical lines are going into the plane of the paper. So this horizontal groups, as you can see when you are placing this flat, so these groups are in the plane of the paper and the horizontal line, the WX groups which are there are towards you. Okay. So based on this, you can easily tell the configuration of the molecule also. So let us take the example of lactic example of this particular molecule, glyceraldehyde. Now this is OH. What is done is that these two bonds are pressed flat, the tetrahedral carbon. So these two bonds are in the plane of the paper and these two bonds are away from the plane of the paper or towards you, or coming out of the plane of the paper and are towards you. So to represent this in Fischer projection, this is an R isomer because this is first priority, this is second priority, this is first priority. So hydroxy, because it is higher atomic number, this is first priority. This is again carbon-carbon, but this carbon is attached to doubly bonded oxygen, whereas this carbon is attached to a singly bonded oxygen. So this carbon is equivalent to having bonded to two oxygen atoms. So this will have two priority and this will have the third priority, and obviously this is 4. Now when you are going from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, you are rotating in it in a anti-clockwise direction. However, the least priority group is now towards you. So the handedness rules change in this case. Since this is towards you, the least priority is towards you. The anti-clockwise rotation is an R rotation or R configuration. Now, other than R and S configuration or notation, you can have also DN notation in the Fischer's projection. For this, there is certain things to be observed that in sugars, this is example of glucose. The most oxidized group of the part of the molecule is placed on the top, and the least oxidized group is placed below in this case. So hydroxy is the least among this. It is the least oxidized functional group, and this is the oxidized functional group. So this is placed at the top, and you have to look at the bottommost chiral center. If the hydroxy group is towards right, it is D configuration, and if it is the hydroxy group is towards L, it is having towards left, it is called as L sugar. So if you were to determine the chirality, it is always the D sugars will have R configuration and the L sugars will have the S configuration. Why? Now again, if you were to see here, this is 1. Now this carbon is attached to hydroxy, this carbon is attached to also hydroxy, but this particular carbon is attached to one more carbon, whereas this particular carbon is not attached to any carbon. So this will have a higher priority than this. So this is going in anti-clockwise direction, but again the hydrogen is towards you. So this will have the R configuration. So D sugars have R configuration. Now for the L, now again this is 1, this is 2, and this particular carbon is 3. So you are growing in anti-clockwise direction. You are going in anti-clockwise direction. So this is S isomer in this case. Other than R and S, D and L, you have E and Z notations in the alkene stereochemistry. The priority rules are the same as your Kahn-Ingold Prelog sequence rule. So you first attach the priorities to the groups attached to the carbon bearing the double bond, and if the higher ranked groups are opposite or across the double bond, it is an E isomer, and if it is on the same side, that is higher order groups are on the same side of the double bond, then it is a Z isomer in this case, as you can see from the E or 2-chlorobutane example, chlorine being higher atomic number, this is having the higher rank, and methyl group which is attached to this particular carbon, it is having the lower rank, and for this particular carbon, this is having higher rank, this is having lower rank. This higher rank structures are across the double bond or on the opposite sides of the double bond, so this is an E isomer, and in this case the higher ranks substituents are on the same side of the double bond. So this is on the Z isomer in this case. As you can see, you do not have to look at the absolute rankings in this case. These both are methyl, but for this particular carbon, this is a lower rank because this is relative to the other group which is attached to this carbon, and this methyl group here is of the higher rank because this is related to the hydrogen which is attached to this particular carbon here. Now, two concepts in the stereochemistry is optical activity. What is optical activity? When a particular molecule or enantiomer rotates the plane of the plane polarized light, it is called as an optical activity. The rotation of plane polarized light by enantiomer is known as optical activity. It is this rotation, if it is on the right side, it is known as dextrorotatory, and it is denoted by a positive sign. And if it is rotating in a left direction, it is called as negative rotation. Therefore, it is denoted by negative sign, or it is called as levorotatory. Now, this is also denoted as d, small d and small l. It is not to be confused with capital D and capital L. And there is something called as specific rotation. Specific rotation is a of a compound is obtained by dividing the value of the path length. So this is the alpha. So observed angle of rotation is called as an alpha, and C is the concentration in grams per centimeter cube, and this dot which is there is the path length of the light in dm. These are the units. Mostly these specific rotation is denoted as alpha d, wherein d indicates the wavelength of light of d line of the sodium light, that is 589 nanometer, or in alpha d20, alpha d subscript d and superscript 20, where 20 indicates the temperature of the medium, that is substance or the experiment carried out. This is 20 degrees. So it is alpha d20. So when 28 mg is dissolved in 1 centimeter cube of ethanol, the solution is placed in 10 centimeter long polarimeter cell, and optical rotation alpha of this negative, that means the solution is now rotating the plane polarized towards left. So that is negative was measured at 20 degree with the light of wavelength 589. What is the specific rotation? So we have a specific rotation of D, and at 20 degrees D is 589 and this is 20 degrees. So what is the concentration? It is 28 milligrams in 1 centimeter cube, that is 1 cubic centimeter volume. So it is same as 0.028 grams per cc, and the path length is 10 centimeter. When you convert it into decimeter, it is 1 dm. So this is the rotation minus 4.35 divided by the concentration in grams per cc, and the path length, which is in decimeter, it is 1. So when you compute this, it comes as minus 155. We come to the another topic in stereochemistry is how to resolve this racemic mixtures. As you can see, when you carry out a reaction, you generally end up with a racemic mixture. So you are interested in isolating the different isomers or different enantiomers, or separate this enantiomer so that you can test it for biological activity or any other property of the to study the properties of that particular enantiomer. So the methods to resolve this racemic mixture, that is separation into individual enantiomers, is called as resolution. This is of 4 different methods: resolution using diastereometric derivatives, and next you have resolution using diastereometric salts, then you have chromatographic resolution, then you have enzymatic resolution. Let us look each one in detail. That is resolution using diastereometric derivatives. Now the reaction of in this what you do is you form a diastereometric derivative of your compound in question, that is your racemic alcohol in this case. Now the difference between enantiomers and diastereomers, we have already seen that enantiomers are superimposable non-superimposable mirror images of each other, whereas diastereomer images are non-superimposable, which are not mirror images as well. So they are not mirror images as well. So one more thing, distinction about enantiomers and diastereomer is that enantiomers are same physically and chemically. They have the same chemical properties and physical properties. However, diastereomers differ in their chemical and physical properties. They have the same chemical properties, but they have different physical properties. So this can be used as an advantage. So wherein you form a diastereomic derivative, in this case diastereoisomeric or diastereomeric can be named. So this is a simple esterification reaction where you have a racemic alcohol and you are having an enantiomerically pure compound and acid in this case. So this is an R-mandelic acid. So when you derivatize this to an ester, when you derivatize this alcohol to ester, you get two particular diastereomers wherein this hydroxy, this particular methoxy will be towards you and this particular the alkoxy will be away from you. Sorry, this is an alkoxy is towards you, this is away from you, and the configuration of this particular carbon is not changing. So you will get two different diastereomers. Remember, diastereomers vary in absolute configuration of only one particular stereogenic center. The other stereogenic centers are same in this case. So this is a diastereomer, and because this are or having two different physical properties, they differ in their physical nature. This can be separated by chromatography. And when you separate this two isomers by chromatography, you can get back the original alcohols by simply hydrolysis of that particular ester. But in this case, now you end up with R alcohol and S alcohol. You have separated the two enantiomers in the racemic mixture of the alcohol, and you regenerate the enantiomeric pure acid, which can be used further in next batch. Let us look at one more example of this particular method. Now this is this acetophenone is an starting material for dopamine dihydroxyphenylalanine. Okay, so a reaction with potassium cyanide and ammonium chloride and then hydrolysis in presence of acid, you end up with this racemic alcohol. This particular carbon here is stereogenic chiral because it has to four different types of groups here. First step in this, you need to protect this particular amino group with acetic anhydride. And when you form a derivative and ester derivative, in this case, in earlier example, the enantiomeric pure compound was an acid. In this case, the alcohol is the enantiomeric pure compound. Okay? Sodium methoxide. This is sodium methoxide. This is menthol. So you are having sodium methoxide. So when you form an ester, you will again end up with a diastereomer wherein the absolute stereochemistry at this particular carbon is not changing, or rather all of the carbon is not changing, only the stereochemistry at this particular carbon is changing. Okay, so you're having a diastereomer A and diastereomer B. Now when you crystallize this particular, what happens owing to different physical properties, that means the solubility will be different. So this particular diastereomer which is there is soluble, and this is the particular diastereomer which is there is insoluble. Therefore, it is crystallizes out of the crystallization mother liquor, and this particular, because it is a soluble isomer, this particular isomer will be there in your mother liquor. So just by simply filtering out, you get diastereomeric A. Now this is having a different melting point, 103, and you can see the specific rotation is also different in this case. So they are differing in the physical properties. So when you evaporate the mother liquor, you isolate the diastereomer B, which is having the low solubility. And after you separate this, you have to simply hydrolyze the esters so that you will get the individual acids in this case. Now the next step is, again, this is uh, now this is an enantiomer. You can see is having similar physical properties, because as you can see from the melting point, this is 152 and this is also the same range, around about same range. However, the specific rotation is different because you are having two different enantiomers in this case, and it is almost the same type of this. This is rotating towards right and this is rotating towards left in this case. Now, the last step would be hydrolysis to remove the protecting group of the amino function. This is done by boiling the mixture for 40 hours and 20% NOH to end up with the deprotected amine here. So you will end up with the R isomer and then S isomer in this case. So in this method, what you do is you either react the racemic mixture with an enantiomer compound to form a diastereomere derivative, and owing to the different physical properties of the diastereomer, you can resolve this or separate this by either chromatography or simple crystallization, and you will end up with two different diastereomers being isolated. And then if you when you uh, hydrolyze those particular or break those particular derivatives or convert those derivatives to the parent compound, you will end up with the two different enantiomers in this case. Now, the third method is second method is resolution using diastereomic salts. In this, a chemical reaction is not formed as such, or you not form a chemical derivative, you form a physical derivative, you form a salt in this case. As you can see from this example, this is a racemic mixture of naproxen. It is an NSAID, which is used as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent. And this is N-propyl glucosamine, which is an pure compound. Only one particular enantiomer of this N-propyl glucosamine is taken. Now, when you form a salt of this carboxyl with the amino group here, so you end up with one soluble salt and one insoluble salt. So in the solution, we will have the this particular thing. So this is simply filtered off, and when you basify this, you will end up with the your acid in this case, or the pure of this. So again, in this case, there is no chemical bond as such, but it is just of physical nature. That is, you are having ionic bonds in this case, or forming a salt, wherein one of the salt is a soluble salt and other salt is crystalline salt, which can be filtered off. And after isolating this, when you basify with NaOH, you will end up with the parent compound, this saltified parent compound in this case. Normally, chromatography, when you carry out using a stationary phase and mobile phase. The stationary phase is silica, but this silica stationary phase can be made chiral by attaching it to chiral groups, such as an amino acid in this case. Now, this particular method is important, wherein the resolution is not possible for a racemic mixture because it does not contain any functional group which can be either derivatized to form a diastereoic ester, as in the earlier case, nor it can form a salt. As you can see from example here, the Valium, which is there. Okay, it does not contain any of the functional group which can be derivatized as such, or it can form salt, because this particular is an amide, and again this is an imine group. So it is the example here is an analog of Valium. Okay, you can have the S isomer or the R isomers. For such type of things, what you do is use resolution by chiral chromatography. That means the stationary phase is made chiral in this case, and it is observed when you do chiral chromatography for that particular example wherein it is an RNS enantiomer of a derivative or analog of helium. The S is having more retention, that is affinity towards this chiral stationary phase, and R is being eluted. So R reaches the bottom first, and S remains because it is having higher affinity towards the chiral stationary phase. So it is eluting more slowly. So by difference again in the physical nature of this chiral columns or differential absorption of the chiral column towards two different isomers, you can enantiomers, you can separate these two enantiomers. The final method is enzymatic resolution. Now, this resolution method uses enzymes such as lipases or esterases. These are the enzymes that catalyzes the hydrolysis and formation of lipids as such. Now, these are very selective in nature that they bring about the reaction of only one enantiomer of the racemic mixture. The example here is a methyl ester. So the racemic reactant is a methyl ester. You can have 2R and 3S and 2S and 3R. Again, these are enantiomer because we are differing in the absolute stereochemistry or the carbon, the second and third carbon. It is exact reverse, 2R, 2S, 3R, 3S, 3R. Okay. Now this lipase is what does this lipase does is it converts this methyl ester to acid of the undesired enantiomer. The enantiomer which is not desired is converted to acid, leaving behind the unhydrolyzed ester. So what you take is take this racemic mixture, add it to the lipase enzyme or add lipase enzyme to this reaction racemic mixture. What will it do? It will selectively hydrolyze the undesired enantiomer, that is your 2S3R isomer will be enantiomer will be hydrolyzed to acid, leaving behind only this 2R3S isomer in the reaction mixture. So in this type of resolution, it is advantages that you get high enantiomeric purity, that is you get only one type of enantiomer. However, the disadvantage is that you are not able to get the other enantiomer. It is completely converted to a different chemical, although you can get it back after esterification, but that has to be carried out in a asymmetric manner or a stereoselective, so that you will get end up with only the desired enantiomer. The point here is that you lose the other isomer enantiomer in enzymatic resolution, although the obtained enantiomer or the desired enantiomer is obtained in a 100% purity. So that's it for the stereochemistry part. In the next video, we'll look at the asymmetric synthesis part.